Hi everyone, welcome to Conversations with Trish and Chris, and we have an amazing guest here today. His name is Mike Hoff, and he actually runs and owns a company called mhc.consulting.com. Did I get that right, Mike?
Yeah, kind of.
Good. Okay, very good. So you can Google MHC Consulting and check it out. So what we wanted to do was just, Mike, I think you're the best person to share with us, where are you from currently, a little bit about your story and about your background to where we've sort of come to today, meeting us together, you over where you are, where we're in Australia, and we'd love to hear that story, Mike.
Okay, well, yes, good afternoon, ladies. It's good morning from Dubai here. It's 8 o'clock in the morning in Dubai, and I just want to say good morning to you.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm originally from the UK, and I was actually born into an entrepreneurial family. My mum and dad ran their own business, so it's kind of in my blood. However, that's not the route I chose to take, because my dad said, you know what, Michael, because we're from the north of England, so they was taught with a funny accent. I said, Michael, you're not coming into this business. You're going to get the education I didn't get and get the career I never got, and that's what you're going to do. Okay.
Wow.
So
wow.
I tried to duck it, and there's an entrance exam called 11 plus back in the day. When you're 11, you're supposed to take it to go to the posh grammar schools. Well, I failed it, and I think my subconscious failed it for me actually, and said, you don't want to go there. Anyway, I went to comprehensive school, then went to university. So I kind of got on this treadmill. So I went to uni, got my degree, got a job, got a career, and just started going through life. And it was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And although I did some really good jobs. I was very, very lucky. Maybe I can chat about a couple of them later, but really lucky. And by the way, stop me if you need to butt in.
Yeah, that's all good. You keep going.
I'll just roll.
You keep going.
But what happened was, it was this treadmill was all the time. It was there's a salary you can get for this amount of hours, because the hours couldn't change, so it's therefore your salary is all the same. And it kind of, I felt really trapped, and I had a pretty miserable time up until about 15 years ago, where I finally met my life partner Claire, which is great. And suddenly my life took a different angle. It's like, oh, and I remember her saying to me, she said, Mike, you can do anything you want. I went, what do you mean? No, I've got to do this. I've got to stay in here because this is what the rules are, and I have to earn the salary, and I have to get to general manager, and et cetera, et cetera. But no, you don't. And then suddenly happened in 2004, an opportunity came up in, of all places, Kuwait, which is in the Middle East, which is where it's really hot, which is where I am. And it was the year after the Gulf War, of course. So, of course, hey, why don't we go to Kuwait? And there was an opportunity there that was kind of an interesting, because my background is, I started in hotels, then went into retail, then supermarketing, food and beverage, and then I got the phone call. I came out to interview in Kuwait, and they phoned me a couple of days later and said, oh, we've got an idea of the role that we'd like you to fulfill for us. I went, okay, what is it? He said, well, would you consider running Starbucks coffee for the Middle East? So I thought about it for about 30 seconds and went, yeah, when do I start? So and it was
that sounds really so exciting, Mike. Like, that is like something out of the box, right?
It was, and even though I was frustrated in corporate life, this was something new, and it was bright and shiny, of course, and I love bright, shiny objects. So it was in the Middle East, which of course is tax-free. Whoa! And in the UK,
really?
there's so much
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's no. Well, we've just implemented VAT over here this January, just last month, at 5%. So it's new. So it was really kind of wow, and yeah, that was it. So I said, well, I sat Claire down with a glass of grape, as we're allowed to say in Dubai. And I said, look, and I was really nervous. And I said, look, I've got this opportunity in Kuwait. What do you think? She said, yeah, let's go. No one's ever said that to me. No one's ever said, yeah, let's do this. No, you've got to stay here. You've got to do this. So off we came, and she sent me out here, to Kuwait early, and I spent 3 or 4 months setting it up and joining the company, and then Claire joined me, and she became the HR director for H&M, the clothing company from Sweden. And then we spent 4 or 5 years doing that. I opened up Jordan and Egypt for Starbucks. It was very exciting. It was all...
Wow. This is
I
like
mean,
whole new territory, right?
yeah, right. And it was really, I was really blessed to be, and very grateful for the opportunity, you know. And you're going to hate this because there was still something niggling my mind going, is this enough? Arrgh. So for the second time in my life, I've missed a bit out earlier in my life. I tried to break out and set my own business up and failed absolutely tremendously well, spectacularly. Back in 2000, something about the year 2000, don't know. And then when I was in Kuwait, I got a bit fed up with all of this, and I tried setting up another business here in Dubai, and that failed spectacularly. So I joined another corporate organization here in Dubai where I set up coffee shops and food and beverage and restaurants and stuff like that, general manager. So a lovely paid job, all tax-free here as well. And so had all the trappings that came with it, and Claire was doing well in her role. And and then it came again. It comes like every 4 years. It used to come, and I stared out the window one day and went, is this it? And I literally looked at, we've got this big tower here, you might have heard it, it's called the Burj Khalifa. It's a massive tower, it's the tallest tower in the world. And I could see it from my office, and I stared out there, my lovely office, with my nice car downstairs and my nice salary, and I looked out, and I felt really ungrateful at the time, because I said, is this it? Am I going to retire from this job?
Wow.
There must be more to, there's got to be more to life. And I always had this thing, once I passed 40, I then thought, right, I'm going to retire by the time I'm 50. So I managed it at 49. So that's 6 years ago, if you're wondering. And, or 7 years nearly, this year. Go on, do the math. 50 is the new 30, don't worry, I'm only 35.
That's it.
And one day I went, oh, you know, I can't do this. So I quit. And I didn't know how I was going to get out of corporate life. So I learned to be a scuba instructor randomly.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought, right. So if you go to my last company here in Dubai and say, hey, you remember Mike Hoff? Oh, yeah, yeah. He's running a dive center somewhere, isn't he? No, he's not. Because that was it was the only way I could escape the gravitational pull of corporate life, with the safe salary, with the car, with the boss. I mean, beautiful people that I worked with. Fantastic families, big company. They've got Harvey Nichols and, you know, huge company. And I thought, no, it's not enough. So I quit. And so I did scuba diving for that summer of, what was that, 2011 or 12? I can't remember now. And then realized I'm not going to make a living out of teaching people to blow bubbles underwater. Although it's great fun, it's not going to help me achieve my goals. And I got some big goals in life, you know, in terms of retirement, where Claire and I want to end up and stuff. So I thought, oh, well, this isn't going to work out too well. So then I set up this MHC consulting business. And I remember sitting here at my desk, which is a coaching business. I sat at my desk the first day here, and I went, so what happens now? When do people knock on the door and say, hey, Mike, do you want to coach me? Because I want to be a coach. And, you know, so I got certified as a coach and all that kind of stuff. And for the last 6 years, I've been doing that. And my business is very successful. Claire's joined me in the business after about 2 years. She joined me. So we're both self-sufficient and, you know, creating our income. So we've kind of got that entrepreneurial life that we've always looked for. Apart from one problem, I'm still trading my time for money. So I've still got to show up to coach someone. I've still got to show up and go, okay, well, let's go through that. And it's great. I love it. I absolutely adore it, because I shift people from where they're kind of stuck. And in fact, someone said to me once, I was asking, what is it that I do? I was thinking about marketing and stuff. And she said to me, you unstick people. I went, oh, okay, it's a technical term, but I tend to unstick people from where they are. And it's very rewarding. Yeah. It really is. But it's not going to get me to my goals. It's not going to allow me on its own to get me to where I need to be for our life goals, to retire in Asia somewhere. Well, we actually know the place. I won't tell you because this has been recorded, but in case it changes, but we kind of found the spot. So then I thought, so what did I do then? So this is about 18 months ago. I went onto my desk here and I started my best friend Google. How do I stop trading my time for money? That's what I put in.
That's incredible.
Because there's this equation between time and money. And it was another colleague within our community that told me, I remember saying, time is time and money is money. And I didn't get that. How could I leverage my time and get money for less work and all that kind of stuff? So as I was Googling, someone had introduced me to the law of attraction. February, a year ago. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And I found this incredible as I stare at my vision board here. and
That's
this
great.
visualization and manifestation started to happen. And Claire's brilliant at bringing up car parking spaces in the shopping malls here. She's absolutely amazing at it. And we started looking, so I'm going, so anyway, I was searching for some more information on that day. I remember the law of attraction. And then this couple popped up and said, "Oh, look, this is one way you could do it." And so I set up this online business and then joined the community, and it's fantastic. So, never look back really. So it's a bit of a disjointed journey, but it's got me to where I need to be for now.
And that's brilliant, because we met you in Phoenix last year. We were at a convention all together, and we met each other for the first time, literally, and felt like lifelong friends in a matter of 24 hours. It was powerful. It was incredible. It was incredibly meaningful. And I think that with this community, there is something about what we're all doing and wanting to achieve at a level that is unlike anything else out there. I've been involved with masterminds, international masterminds, involved with international groups, wealth creation groups, and by far this has been the most incredibly powerful group that I've ever been part of. It's so powerful, and I think it can mean the difference between you staying where you are to where you want to be. It can make a difference in time, expediency, skills, talent. Very powerful, wouldn't you believe? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, totally. I mean, there's a term I remember when I started my business that people said to me, "Please don't try to work in glorious isolation. Get out there and network." And so we started networking and finding. So what tends to happen when you run your own business is you start at this level networking, and then you realize, actually, no, I need to network up. And you continue to network up in terms of more valuable referral partners and that kind of thing. But even then, in that community, not this community, that community, people haven't got your back. And we say in our community, "I've got your back, you're not alone." And my goodness, do they mean it? It's incredible. And I've never, ever, ever experienced a community like this. And when I tell people about it, they just kind of look at me in disbelief. Well, no one works like that. Aren't you competing? No, we're not competing. We've all got our own businesses. We're in it together, and it's the best thing that ever happened, I have to say, in finding this community. But yeah, when we met in Phoenix, when was it? September
last year. Yeah,
it was
very
incredible.
powerful.
And still in touch with people. So this morning at 6 a.m. I was talking to Canada. Now I'm talking to Australia. Next talking to someone in Africa. It's like, this is bonkers. A year ago I wouldn't have dreamt that I'd be doing this.
I know.
Powerful.
Yeah, that's
powerful.
right.
We've had members come through, and they have been very unclear in those early stages on what this business involves and what it is. And we say to them very clearly, well, what we're doing right here, right now on this Zoom conference is pretty much it. This is what we're doing. Coaching, connecting, talking with people from all around the world, and helping them to achieve what it is that they want to achieve through this medium. It's so incredibly powerful.
And the incredible result of that, all of that, plus more, is growth.
Yes.
We're all growing. And at my tender age of 35, I'm still growing. And I'm learning stuff. And this week I've learned some more stuff, and I put it to work. And guess what? I got results today, this morning, as I was telling you before the call.
Brilliant.
I've got the results from the work that I learned from someone else in the community who freely and easily gave it.
Yes.
And said, "Hey guys, have you tried this?" And I went, "I'd forgotten about that. That's a good idea." Did it and got instant results. It's like, oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you. It provides that when you're looking for it. So
that's awesome.
That's right. And I want to go back to when you were saying about sitting in your office and looking out to the tower. I wanted to ask you, what were you feeling then? Like, can you remember the actual feeling? Because I think if you can explain your feeling, other people might actually be going, well, I feel that too.
It was like, it's a great question. I'm not sure I'll do it justice, and some of it sounds selfish because it feels like I needed to give more.
Yeah.
and this is going to sound really strange coming out of my mouth, but I wouldn't have said this a year, but giving back to the world, it's kind of something that I didn't realize then, but that's what I was feeling. I was feeling like I'm not giving as much. I remember going to my boss actually about 6 months before and said, look, this is great, and I've got your back and all that kind of stuff with the business, but why don't you let me exit and I'll come back and consult and grow people, because I can see some general managers around me that I can actually help. And it wasn't for it. No, we can't do that. And so there was something I felt inside that said, you've got to do this, Mike. You've got a responsibility to give back to the community. Yes, of course, you get rewarded for it in terms of economics, but you've got this.
There was a bigger purpose there. There was a bigger purpose there for you. It wasn't like you were unfulfilled. It was like you knew that you had a bigger purpose to fill, and you couldn't do that where you were.
No, and part of that, Chris, you're right, part of it was I didn't really want anyone else to go through that trapped feeling that I had during my career. I wanted to give them their freedom back. And that's a lot of the times the CEOs I work with will say, I just want my freedom. This isn't the business I set up. I'm trapped in it.
Yeah.
I don't get to spend time with my family and friends and all that kind of stuff. And that was a calling to say, I can do this. I can give people their freedom back. This is amazing. And now, of course, with our online community and the online business, I can give it back, I don't know, 100,000 times, because I don't have to show up, in terms of do that, because there's technology around now that allows us to leverage from the traditional economy. I read an article the other day. It was by PwC, and they were talking about, I think I posted actually, they were talking about in 2030, only 10% of the population will be full-time workers.
Wow.
And you go, whoa. And there's lots of different views and visions of that. And that's just one takeaway I had. And it's like, even if that's not true, even if it's 50%, it's like, oh my goodness, so the working population. So we have to move, we have to think of different ways. And that's why I knew at that time that I had to do something different, because I'd hit the ceiling on salary, definitely, because I was very fortunate. I'd hit the ceiling on position. There was no other position. So therefore, I'd hit the ceiling. So it's like, well, you either retire from this another 10 years, or you try and use that 10 or 15 years to do something more positive for everyone in the world. So that was it, really.
Yeah, that's awesome, because that's what you're trying to do now in your current role as a consultant and as a coach.
Yeah.
But I can see all of that too, just being incredibly powerful in your online business, because you have incredible skills and experience in that area for the people that you're going to bring into your team. And I think that's so exciting, because they've got this super coach that's going to help them. It's incredible. Honestly, it's just incredible.
Bless you. Thank you. I'll receive that. Thank you. But my sorry, you make me all emotional. Because when I'm coaching one-to-one, that's what I do, or one to a group. Maybe I'm doing a CEO and his exec team. I'm touching 7 people, which is great, fantastic. It's awesome. But through this medium now, and we're launching this quarter our online academy, where we're going to do online education, and I'll be doing some coaching on the back of it as well. And that's incredible, because then everyone around the world can be watching the same training and get the same information, and then I can come in and kind of give them something on top if they wish. Because we can do a webinar, we can use the technology that's with us to leverage my time, because I've got a responsibility to give. It's leadership that I don't see it in the leaders in the world. I don't see it in businesses. I had a HR director on the phone to me the other day who's been, this isn't physical abuse, but it's kind of abuse in terms of her position, and it wasn't fair, and people are just not leading in the right way, and mainly, and I want to try and spread that as much as possible. So that's my gift back, but I can't do it one-to-one. I have to leverage the interweb.
Yes.
As it goes. So, yeah.
We have very similar backgrounds, Mike, too, because we've sort of launched into a sort of corporate training area.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for the last 5 to 6 years. Obviously not as much anymore, because this is taking now priority, our online business. it's very rewarding to, and what's interesting about your journey is the progression that you've made as well. Like, you have made so much incredible progression. And I just, at the very beginning, you talked about that, and so briefly, and yet it involves so much, because you had to then skip back and talk about failed businesses. You talked about how you were basically put into a profession in a way through your family's direction, as we all tend to do, right? At 15 and 16, you've got to make those hard decisions.
Right.
And your progressive journey, it's been very powerful and very impactful. Do you think that whole journey of yours has led, because you talk about shiny objects as well. And I was of that. I never stayed in a job longer than 2 years. I was always good at my job. I always did well. I applied myself 110%, but I could never stay at a job. I was there for a maximum of 2 years. And I think it was this seeking and looking for and trying to find that thing. It's only now, we're talking 40, 50, 40 years later, 30 years later, and here it is. It's a journey, right?
Right, and it's incredible, because it feels like it's just beginning at the moment. It's really strange because and I was saying to someone else when I was talking earlier this morning, a lot of people in the community have said you ditch plan B. You won't get real focus on what you're doing until you've got your backup plan. So I've still got my offline business, and I love it, my offline business, but that's still my backup plan. And recently, my subconscious has been saying, you know what, put everything into this business, because this journey, as you put it, is the one that's going to take you through to whatever the next phase of your life is when you time you're 150 or whatever it is, because age is just a number, I don't care. So what's going to take us to that next piece? And it's clear that it's this. And as soon as I've started shifting my focus and my attention, they say, what is it? Energy goes where what is it? Energy flows where attention goes. That's it.
Yes, that's it.
And only this 10 days, probably because the build-up, I knew I was chatting to you, I've really applied myself to work. So yesterday it was like a 12-hour day solidly, just learning one of the tools that we've been introduced to, and getting the results this morning. It's like, okay, this is good. So it's just that journey, and you're learning and learning and learning. And as you move on from one career or role to another, you transist. It's not revolution, it's evolution. You evolve into this, and it's feeling very comfortable now. And when I'm talking to people, they're saying, so what are you doing? I said, well, I've spent the last 18 months being educated on how to take my business online. Oh, really? And I'm also doing some other stuff online as well through the community. And oh, really? It's that natural thing, because I don't want to be left behind in 2030, whenever it is, when this digital age has really taken control. I want to be there, because I say age is just a number. I don't judge anybody or myself by the age. It's up here. It's mindset, and mindset's a lot of the stuff that we talk about on a regular basis, of how important that is. And I know there's so many people out there struggling as well with that mindset, saying I can't do it, I don't deserve it, all these limiting beliefs that there are. And there's a community such as ours where everyone's just got your back. It's incredible. It really is.
It's funny, because when you talk about training, and I know that with being present in a room face to face with individuals brings with it a certain dynamic. It brings with it a certain energy, right? And I said to Chris, when we started this business, because I sort of let that go, and I was concerned that I would miss very much that energy, that dynamic, that playing off each other, that ability to see transformation unfold in front of you. You would get that and see that in a room where you see light bulbs go on and the eyes flicker and you think, wow, that's made an impact. However, what's happened now is this internet world has allowed us to sort of replicate to a very close point. This environment, you can have a room here with 10, 12, as many as you want in a room, and you can be doing very similar things, right?
Totally. And the interactions there, look, this is live. We're 7 hours apart, I think it is. It's
3 p.m. in the afternoon. And
that distance all that distance in Canada this morning, it doesn't mean anything these days, because through the technology we can share a whiteboard, I can share a presentation, and the best thing is you record it, like you're recording this conversation. It's recorded and it's there for those who may get value from it, and that's great. And the recordings I'm making at the moment, it's incredible. I'm recording. You see all these books behind me. I've read all of them, and this is the education that I want to transfer to people. And you know what? I only have to record it once. Well, actually, no. I have to record it for a number of times. The bloopers, I'm not going to share. But,
we had one today, didn't we, Mike?
Did we?
Record.
And that's the beauty of it, because really, you know, once you've recorded that, and it's incredible. I've got this technology now where I can share a slideshow and have me on the screen at the same time. I can zoom in it, zoom it out. There's quizzes that people can have, all sorts of that technology. So you are as if you're in the room, Trish, absolutely as if you're in the room with that person. And then I add some interaction on the back, because we can have Zoom calls like this, or we can have webinars, or where all the groups can come together. So it's just, you don't have to travel to get that now. It's good to do it as we do. We travel regularly to meet each other, like we're doing next week. Can't wait. And it's a supplement that you need, because we're human beings. We need human contact. There's no question about it. This counts for me.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. It makes an impact, Mike, because you can see people, you can talk to people, see their expressions, you can see their eyes light up, or you can see them getting emotional, or, you know, and you can feel it. If you know, you can feel it. Sometimes it's really powerful. Like the other day, I think we were on one of our webinars, and someone was really excited, and it was like they were jumping out of the screen. You know, it was just, you could feel the excitement, you know, it was like jumping out of the screen. So it was really cool.
And the other thing about this technology is use it to communicate with home. So, you know, home is the UK, and my dad and I, we Skype regular basis. When he comes out occasionally, and I think he's coming out in April again, he announced yesterday, so he likes it out here. And but when we meet every 12 or 6 months, whatever it is, it's as if it doesn't matter, because we've been talking all the time, we're communicating. I can see if he's all right, if he's not okay, we can fix stuff, and it's just like, you know, we're here in the same room. So technology is really going to move on, and this is nothing. I think what we see here is nothing compared to. I have this dream of me being. Do you remember on Star Wars when? Was it Princess Leia was beamed by R2-D2 saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan"? Do you remember that? There was a little hologram. That's going to be me. I'm going to be hologrammed into people's training, into boardrooms and training rooms, and just be here. And I can be in multiple places across the world. Why not?
Wow,
that's awesome. That's very cool. Just one thing there too, because it's interesting when you talked about you launching a scuba diving business, and it's very interesting because there are a lot of people out there that are in a corporate job. They provide a service. We were accountants, corporate accountants, providing a service. And I know for myself, always wanted to start my own business. Okay, so that transitioning from job to job to job to job was really me saying, I just want to be free from this, right? And I think that it's completely gone. The question's gone from my brain. It was such a good.
So there are people, So there are people out there that have a hobby, right? Have a hobby.
That's it. Okay, so they don't know how to make that transition from the corporate job, right? They just don't, because they think to themselves, because this is a big thing for me, even though I want the business, what on earth am I going to deliver?
That's exactly right.
That was a good question.
No, thank you. It was an awesome question. And I had that very same question. And it's in fact a question that I've been putting out to the world now and saying, look, I think you know what you want. You can see what you want, the lifestyle you want, the work that you want to do, the passion, if it's a hobby, as Chris said. You can, that's what I want. But how the heck do I get it? And that was exactly where I was searching my friend Google 18 months ago and saying, how do I do this? I've seen people doing it. So, and all due respect to everyone, I go, well, if they can do it, why can't I? I'm surely enough to be able to do that. I'm surely, you know, I can figure it out. And I think as long as you're open to educating yourself, not just reading books, but watching videos, interacting with guys like yourself, and just opening your mind up and going, right. Because, of course, the internet has got a reputation, hasn't it? And online business, I remember when the internet was born. I remember it's a little box. No.
I'm not even going to admit that.
No, I'm going to do that. I'm just feeling like that today, very vulnerable. And it's just, I remember people saying, and I probably said the same, so I would have been, I don't know how old I was, I'm not going to put that out there, but I can remember, well, I'll never shop on that internet thing, because I'm not going to put my credit card in there. I'm not going to do that. Man, we order our fruit and vegetables on the internet now in Dubai, and gets delivered within 6 hours, whatever it is. So it moves from the skeptics going, it'll never work, to where it is now. Well, that's fine. And I think that reputation is also, it puts people off a little bit, because there have been some strange things on the internet where people have signed up and, that kind of thing. But that's not what we're about. But it's there. And I think that is a subconscious barrier for some people that go, oh, it'll never work. Bitcoin, it'll never work. Facebook, oh, never work. I can imagine. And that's hard for people to understand. And you need a community, an encouragement to say, it's okay. It can be done, because I'm doing it, and Trish and Chris are doing it. And all those other hundreds of people in our community are doing it. So it is possible. And I think as the movement grows and the world wakes up to the fact that you have got to change your mindset to one of abundance, as opposed to the scarcity thing that's really beaten into us through, I've even turned off our news thing. I unplugged it, and I've cancelled my subscription to the TV channels here, because it was just giving me this negative.
I've done the same. I've done exactly the same.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. Gone, finished. Like all of this cable TV gone. Like there's no, I don't even watch it. It's just, and you're right, it's just complete negativity. And that's an interesting point that done.
And I choose to, I look at the news. I look at the news when I choose to. I'm informed, and that's fine.
That's it.
And
not
I
overwhelmed. Informed, but not overwhelmed, as they say. Right.
A quote.
Yep.
And I'm sure someone like my dad will phone me if something really bad goes wrong.
I'm sure.
Come home. I'm pretty sure they'll do that.
That's exactly right. So there are a lot of people. There are, because we talk to a lot of people, and they think and say, well, what on earth can I deliver? Like, what is it that I can create or deliver? And it's the value that's within. That is the value, because all of us here, look at the combined experiences that we have between the three of us alone, that we can share with a population that is going to connect to an audience. They're going to say, oh, wow, like you yourself, a business coach, but you've had failed businesses. You've actually come along and created a successful business. So these are all learnings that are valuable to other people out there.
I think it's one of the biggest questions, isn't it? And the one that I asked, and I remember when I first met you, it's like, I'm not sure I can add. I don't know what I can give. I'm not sure. And I remember you two saying, Mike, are you blind? I'm going, yeah, I am. I've no idea what I could do here. And it was kind of, I mean, it is a limiting belief that many of us have. It's kind of.
I think you're right, Mike. I think everyone does have limiting beliefs, and it's only when other people point out to you your expertise that you think, oh, is that like a skill that I can use? Is that like knowledge that I have, no one else has, or not many people have? It's only when I think when you're in conversation with people, and that's why conversation is so important, that you actually get to see who these people are, like what they're really about. Okay, so it's really conversation, just getting to know someone is really powerful.
Yeah, and I learned a big lesson out here, because I've lived out here now, I think it's 15 years. Anyway, and we've got a melting pot here in Dubai. It's only a small place of, I don't know how many nationalities, 50, 60, 70 nationalities, all, by the way, trying to get on the roads, which is hilarious to watch. But when you're in this melting pot, you learn a lot. And actually you then realize how fortunate you were with your education or the upbringing you had. And when I go to places like Saudi Arabia, when I was running Starbucks, and I'd go behind the counter, I'd visit every store and go behind the counter and shake hands. It was like, I've given them the crown jewels. I'm going, what is this? Well, no one ever does that to them. It's like, oh, okay, but you're the business director for Starbucks and you've just come in and shaking this guy's hand. It's like, oh shit, okay. I didn't realize that. And it was a big lesson for me to say, don't ever underestimate the impact you have on people. You too as well, and everybody we come into contact with. And I think once you've opened your eyes and realized that, you can put it to better use, I think.
Yes,
true.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
You become conscious, let's put it that way.
It's very
make it more conscious. Yeah, for sure.
It's very true.
Because
we don't realize the impact that we all have and that we all can have on people. Very, very powerful. And even this conversation today is going to impact many, many people. There are people watching this conversation that we don't even know are going to be watching it. I mean, it's shared, it's viewed, it's commented on, and it's very, very powerful. And it's interesting how many people out there could literally create an online business based on interviewing individuals within their industry, within their line of work, within their hobby, within their profession. They could create something very powerful just by pooling people together. I mean, there are authors now that bring people of a like-mindedness or a similar industry, bring them together and then create a book around them, interview them, and then they make money through that. But it's not the money. Well, they love earning the money. However, they love the process, the creativity around putting it together as well. Yeah.
And many times what puts people off, I've had it with myself, they're saying, oh, yeah, but the technology is really complicated. It's so accessible now. You know, I didn't have an internet background before I started it. And so if you've got an idea that you want to bring to this new digital age, the tools are there. And when we have the tools in our community, it's there.
Yes.
This is one of them. This is only one of hundreds of them. But
that's right.
I don't know how to build a website. Well, don't worry, because someone in the community will do that for you. So don't worry. You know, whatever it might be, you're stuck on.
Exactly.
But writing your advert, or how do I talk to my client? The other thing I came up with as well was leadership. You know, you've got to lead teams as well. So learn those skills as you grow. So
well, a lot of people will have led teams in their jobs, whatever they were doing. You know, you've got people who lead teams out in the the outdoor work. You've got people who lead teams in an office environment. You've got people who lead teams in the sporting environment. I mean, there are so many leaders out there with so many different skills. And even if you're not a leader, I'm sure a lot of people want to aspire to be a leader, and they know that they can be better than the leader they've got. You know, for example, if I was them, then I'd be doing it this way. And so, you know, it's all of that you can bring to something just like what we have.
Absolutely. And looking for those, like attracts like, and so looking for those groups of people who you can find and associate with yourself, wherever that might be, is so important. Important. And then the leaders will come out in you, and everyone's got leadership.
That's right.
That's a great segue, Chris, because I was wanting to talk about the profiling that you do.
Yes.
I wanted to bring that up because that's part of your training process, and it's very involved. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant process because someone will go on. I'll let you explain it. I'll let you explain exactly what it is that you do and how it benefits individuals.
So let me start from the beginning, because 6 years ago when I set the business up, and once I'd sat on my computer and realized no one was going to come in and say, hey Mike, come and I'll pay you $1 billion to do this. I thought, right, okay, I've got to figure out how to go and find people. And one of the things I wanted to do is to be able to understand someone quite quickly. So if I met a CEO, how do I know what's going on inside? How do I know how he or she prefers to behave? How do I know what he or she's motivated by? And what about how she thinks and makes decisions? Wouldn't it be really cool if I knew that, because I'll be able to help them better. And I'll be able to give them what they need as opposed to what I think they want, which is two different things. So I found a wonderful diagnostic that I use in the business. I've used it for the last 6 years now. And it's an individual profile, and you two have taken it, and we had some fun with that. And it is fun.
It is.
We look at your behaviors, and we look at your values, what drives you, and then we look at how you think and make decisions, and we put those three together. And I call it like an MRI scan of you in a psychometric profiling way. And it just helps leaders and followers and colleagues get on better, understand each other. If I know how you prefer to behave, I get it then. So if you prefer to make decisions really quick and I don't, that's okay now. But before I knew that, it was a bit frustrating. And if I knew that Chris loves detail and I don't, and when I give Chris a report that's 20 pages, 1 page long, and she loves detail, she gets frustrated. So equally, if she gives me a report of 100 pages, I'm not going to read it. So it's kind of that looking for those nuances that are going on. And in a community such as ours, it's important that you can get on with people and understand them more. So I use it as part of the process with my offline, but now also I've brought it onto the online, as you know, so people can take it. In fact, just before the call, believe it or not, between 7 and 8, I was working on autoresponder series to get that out to people quicker and easier so that people can take it. And it's very powerful. So, and it all comes from the fact that if you want to, we talk about leadership, and the whole root of all of the diagnostic that has to do is based on the fact that, you know, a gentleman called Jay Niblick, I'll give him the credit for the IP. He went and did a massive study over 7 years looking for what makes a genius leader. What is it? You know, those leaders you've had in the past where somewhere, they're okay, they're all right, but then there's others that you'll just walk through water and fire and follow them anywhere they go. They'll just follow you. And what is it that makes those? And after all that time and research and 27,000 interviews and all this kind of stuff he did, he realized there were only 2 things that made genius leaders. And he wrote a book called What's Your Genius? And the first thing is self-insight, so understanding me. So how do I prefer to behave? What motivates me? And how do I think and make decisions? That's number 1. And the second, so self-insight. The second thing is being authentic to those insights. So if you prefer a behavioral profile that says, I want to make decisions quick, well, you better find the environment that allows that to happen. Don't change your behavior. Just do you. I want you to be you because you're enough. But the number of times that we find people that are in the wrong environment and their behaviors and maybe their values and motivators aren't being satisfied at all, they're miserable. And a lot of times where I'm doing the profile with a team, we'll come across the motivators and say, so how many of these motivators have been satisfied or fulfilled right now? And quite often the answer is none of them.
Wow.
So even though they have the self-insight that says, I'm motivated by 1, 2, and 3, none of them are being fulfilled in my life right now. That's so powerful. You go, whoa. So if we were to create the environment where they were fulfilled and then allow you to behave in your preferred behavioral style, how would that feel? Well, it'd feel amazing. Well, let's do that then. And that's what we do. And we do the same in this online world as well, because everyone, and remember the book was called What's Your Genius? Everyone has the capability to be a genius. It's just in what. And it's not about changing people. I'm not a behavioral coach. I don't try and change people at all. I move them, but I don't do that by changing their behavior or anything. It's about creating an environment where they can flourish. You put a tree under the stairs and a box of mushrooms in the sun, both will die. You switch them and both will flourish. It's just finding the right environment for the right person. And we don't do that. Because when we're interviewing in corporate life, we just take on people we think can do the job because of their attributes or their CV. But what about the person themselves? What about, you know, and a lot of people out here, we're all away from home here in the Middle East. So, and a lot of people from, you know, not so well off countries like I am, are really sending all their money home. And they're doing that because they can earn more here, you know, working a lower grade job than they can back home being an accountant, for instance. And when I sit with people and we go through this profile, they suddenly say, no, but I can never be like this, can I? Yes, you can. No, I can't, because this is what life has dealt me. Therefore, that's what I've got to put up with. And when we said earlier about people being miserable and trapped in the job, but there is a way. There is a way. There's always a way to create the environment where you can get fulfillment. Even if you can't get it at work because of needs must, find something outside, a hobby or something where you can get those fulfilled. You know, if you love giving back to people and you can't do it at work because it's a miserable environment, but it's good money, well, go and find a charity you can give to outside work, as an example. You see, you've got me going now. I can go on forever. So.
It's brilliant. It's such an insight, because there are so many people out there miserable in their day-to-day situation and they do not understand why. And when you said, well, I'm, not the behavioral psychologist, however, what you're doing is you are bringing awareness to people. That's what you are doing. Like, even for me in that conversation that you just had there, it was just triggering all different responses in me with respect to being an accountant, really hating the profession, hating what it represented, didn't like dealing with the type of work. I was miserable and did not understand why.
Do you know, when I did my profile, so when I found the profile I wanted to use, and I completed my profile, when I got my values out, I went, that's why. That's why. And it was like, oh, the massive aha, and the slap around the face. If only I'd had that profile when I was 17 years old. When I could have made the right career choice that said, no, you've got these drivers are going on with you. These are your skill, your thinking and making decision attributes. And this is how you prefer to behave. Please don't do that. Do this. Oh, right. Okay. I'll trust the process. Yeah, trust the process. It'll work.
Yeah.
And I know that that's happened to so many people, because we get into the rules, as they call in one of the books I read, for those the bullshit rules that we live by. Yeah, I read this, and there's a cat come on camera.
I know.
You're not deaf, cat. This is Loopy. She's deaf.
Beautiful.
She's deaf. Aren't you deaf? You're that. Yes, that's Trish and Chris.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, that's them. Do you want to come to London? So, and it's just that massive shame at an early stage, 17, 18 years old, we can't make the right decisions, because the career choices I was given were, well, I couldn't be an airline pilot because my eyes are bad, and that's all I remember. So I joined that pub chain. Why not? And I spent 4 years at university drinking it, so I might as well make a career out of it. And so that is so powerful. So I urge, everyone to try and get some self-insight, whatever it might be, whether it's through our profile or something else, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
And then the trick is to be authentic to it, and that's the hard bit. That's the bit that says, I know that I'm driven by this, and you've got to own it. Because sometimes it's okay to be you. One of my coach, one of my coaches, has just written a book. It's a wonderful book, and I've always talked about when you're in an aircraft and they do the oxygen mask drill. And please put your oxygen mask on first before you try to help others. You've got to get yourself in shape. You've got to get yourself in the right place before you can really give and help people, really be effective. You can do it, of course you can, but you might run out of oxygen on the way. And that's the book is written is Your Oxygen Mask First. And I think that's a wonderful insight that I've had recently that says, you've got to make sure you're in a good place. How are you going to help others?
True.
So, but that's ideal world stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
It's very good.
Well,
we're living
what people believe to be ideal world stuff, but you for the uneducated, or for the not uneducated, the people who are not aware of what's possible, they would certainly believe that. They would.
Yeah.
And
well, I believed it. Life's got to be hard. You've got to get yourself in debt. You've got to fail at business. You've got to do this. You've got to have a miserable first, third, or second third of your life, or whatever it is that's affected you, because that's what life is. And it's not. Life's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be easy.
Believe it or not, that's the truth. And I was having that conversation with my daughter recently, and she said, "Why is everything working for me right now?" And I said, "Because you deserve it." She said, "Why do I deserve it?" I said, "Because everyone deserves life to be easy for them,
Exactly. But I think, and that isn't that something we're doing within our community. If you think of the journey, just the journey I've on in my short time here, flying to Phoenix, we're going to London next week, doing all this stuff and meeting with like-minded, the power and the energy in that room a week on Saturday. I cannot wait, because it just lifts you and says, you can do it, and you are going to do it, because we've all got your back. And you go, yeah, you have. Several times since Phoenix, people have helped me, and I've helped others as well. And particularly those people, I can't do it, and it's got to be tough. And no, it doesn't. Stop it. It's supposed to be.
That's it. And the difference between the environment that we're going to be experiencing in London and the environment that you experience in the corporate world, they're like two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh, God, yeah.
You've got in the corporate world, it's all about politics and agendas and protecting people's patches or people's piece of dirt. I know that in all of the corporations that I've worked, a lot of them has been all about that.
Totally.
A lot of it is about protecting your own patch and having your own agenda, and at the cost of anybody else. And it's not a very nice environment, yet you come to creating your own space, your own business in a community like we have, and it's the complete opposite.
Oh, man.
Complete opposite.
Do you know, you just give me a massive aha that do you know in corporate life, the one you describe, when you see someone being promoted and you go, how the heck did that person get promoted to that position? How did that happen? What are you? Well, must be an identical twin or something. I don't know. Something happened. Because, and I'm not saying that's of everyone, but I know we've all experienced that.
Yeah.
But in our community, when the leaders come out to the front and we see them, we all see, and I know this is happening. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just look at what those leaders have given.
Done exactly.
Or the last period of time, just look, they fully deserve that.
Yes.
And I've never, and that's a massive aha. Thank you for that, Trish. It's just that wasn't present because they didn't. Deserve is the wrong word, but people who rise to leadership kind of roles, informal leadership. Of course, there's no positions; it's just an informal leadership role. Totally deserve it.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Anyway, sorry.
Yes, it's true. It's true because sometimes through corporations, through whatever means, it's just a different psychology. It's just a different way of achieving things. And people can get to the top through many different ways. Actually, Chris and I know in our organisation that we worked in, because we worked together, they got to the top through many different ways. And I know that you can read between the lines here, and it was a really toxic environment that we were in, and 65 people in an organisation. Honestly, how many employees would have there been? 65 left in 2 years. The turnover was huge.
It would have been, I don't know, 400 maybe?
400 to 500 employees, 65 of them left in,
When we talk about, and I haven't got time to do the ABC player thing that we teach people, but when we're looking for effective leadership in corporate or wherever, you've got to do two things. You've got to be really productive in your role, right? You've got to deliver results. There's no question. To be a productive employee or manager or leader, you've got to deliver in your job. Okay, you've got to be able to do that, productive. But you've also got to live the values of either the company, the community, or your own values. You've got to live those values and believe. So it's the way that you get the results is as important as the result itself. And too often when those people get to, those people, that sounds terrible, but when people get to the top just through their productivity and their behavior sucks, that's when people go, how did he? Oh, well, yeah, okay. He's just in because the results are there. And of course, then we get into the leadership piece that says, how difficult is it to hold people accountable for them? Well, it's difficult because how difficult is it to take them to task because they're producing but they're not behaving well? Well, as a leader, that's tough. It's well, Mike, you're not behaving. Well, I'm getting you the results, Gov. And they go, okay.
Very tough.
The rest of the organisation are going, that's not fair. This is a miserable place to be. And then all the people that don't do either, they don't behave well and they don't produce. And we spend all the time trying to rescue them when actually we should just move them onto a different environment. So big story. But that's another video. Just so much of that.
Fascinating. Really is. It really is. There's a lot of us, and a lot of people listening to this would have experienced that at some stage or seen that. And that's another great insight, I think, that you've shared with us as well on this conversation.
And mindset. Sorry, Trish, but it's that mindset piece. And Claire's always saying, you hire attitude, train skills, and she's absolutely right. And we live by that. Hire people to your values, like attracts like. So if you think about our community, where my skills were, so my attitude, my mindset, I believe, were correct when I found you guys and we started working together. But my skill level it sucked. It was like, I remember you talked about video in Phoenix. How do I do that? And I said, so how do I put that onto my selfie? So what's a selfie stick? Which way around do I hold the camera? Yeah, I'm still going to ask you that next week. So my skill level was pretty low, but I've grown my skill level over the last
That's
18
it.
months and since, and my attitude is getting even better. But it's
Yeah.
kind of that's the thing, that's the secret, and we don't do that because we hire people just on their skill, and if they don't fit the environment, it gets messy for everyone. It's like, yeah, you might be a great salesperson, but this environment doesn't suit you. But you're going to get the results for us. So that's okay. It's like no, it becomes very toxic, and all the rest of the group see is people dealing with the poor performance of others and try to rescue them, and rather than just moving them on, where the attention should be with the A players, if you like. So, but I say that's a different
Very
section.
powerful. Very powerful.
Such an interesting conversation.
I could talk all day with you guys, so I'm sorry if I've probably gone over time.
Can I ask? No, yes, you're still good. Can I ask? Is there a book in the? Is there a book in you, Mike? I know there's a book in everyone. But if you say that, do you think that there is a possibility of a book?
Yeah, and there is, and I've talked about it many a time. What I failed to do is squeeze the trigger and take action, because I've always just wanted someone to interview me and talk to me about the leadership experience that I've had, because that's what it's boiling down to with me. Everything comes down to the leadership, and so I'm just thinking of a client who gave me feedback the other day, but I'll tell you in a minute. And I just want, there is. I need to be able to structure it. I need to be able to give it, and it'll be a video book probably, because I don't think I can type and write, but I'd love to, you know.
Well, what you could do, here's a thought, right? You could get someone like us or someone to interview you over a period of time.
Yeah.
Then you give those videos, recorded videos, to someone who can transcribe them.
Good idea.
A book for you.
That's a great idea.
Little snippets of interviews to download.
That'd be awesome. That's a great idea.
I don't know.
That's the way I can, because I've written some stuff recently, and when I'm in the flow, I'm okay. I can get my passion out on paper, and I did it 2 days ago. Piece of work I'm doing here, and it's kind of, that was okay, but it's very rare I can do it. So to be able to talk to you would be great, and give some real life examples of where I've seen it work and where things have not worked. It'd be lovely.
Yeah, I struggle with writing. I do struggle with that. I started with a structure. I literally started with the 7 steps, and then they form then chapters.
Yeah.
Okay? And then from there you can start to just put pieces of you and your story and your experiences in amongst those pieces. And you don't, even though you got the structure, you can just go, I was like all over the place with it. And that was always a good thing. You could just like go to chapter 3 because an idea came, and that's where that needs to be. And so that was a great, because I don't like writing normally. And so that was a great approach for me. Like you said, you mentioned in there structure. I just need that structure. And I think once you have that and you have that outline, I think, it does give you a great foundation for you to just sporadically go in there.
And I think it's great. Thanks for asking, by the way. I think I wouldn't write it for me. It sounds daft. You know, it's not for me, I've got a book. It's another medium for people to be able to take what I've learned, I guess, and use it as they will. So if they can have it in Kindle and they can have it in paper, they can have it on video, they can have it audio, I don't mind, but as long as it gets out there. And I think that's half of, sounds really morbid in terms of legacy and stuff, but I do want to leave something behind. I do want to leave the lessons I've learned, because they're kind of evergreens, most of the stuff. They're not fads. The way I teach leadership isn't a fad. It's been around for years and years and years. And it's got to be transferred. I worked with an amazing guru called Dr. Paul Hersey, who created the model situation leadership. And I remember him saying to me before he passed away in the last few years, he said, I went out to see him for the last time he was in North Carolina at the time. He was from Escondido, California. And he said to me, for goodness sake, will you make sure this stuff passes down into the schools and to the universities and teach people to, and I still haven't managed to do that. So that's where the book would feature, teaching young people to enter the world of work, knowing some of the hacks, to use the common term at the moment, you know, of what will make you a better leader in the future. Learn now what your insights are. Here's a leadership model that really works, and some other ideas, and take that, and you'll see that it would change the way that the business is done, because most of the way, I don't know about yourself in Australia, but a lot of my experience has been the leadership methods that are employed by people generally are not the most effective. I'm being polite because there's a lot of people watching, so I'm just being polite. And I think there's much more that can be done for that, and I'd love to be part of that. And if a book's one of the ways we can do it, I'm very happy to do that. And
I think that would be amazing, and I think that is something that definitely is on your list. For sure, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's been on there for a while, so we need to figure out how we can bring it to the top. But I think I've got lots of ideas that I've got my growth center in my mind still somewhere in Asia, where people will come and they'll just grow. Don't ask me how. We'll just pour water on them and they'll grow. But at one point it included scuba diving. So it's like, okay, that was 7 years ago, but it's still there. It's still there as a vision, because, and it's every time my client, I've got some clients in another part of the world, in the Middle East, but they're not in this country. And they've been approached recently by a potential joint venture partner in Saudi, and it's really exciting, and it's ongoing as we speak right now. And they went over to Saudi last week, and she said, this guy started asking me all the things you've been teaching me, and all these things about leadership. And he goes, oh, where did you learn this? Oh, we've got this coach called Mike, and he does this. And we suck at leadership, but he's really, and he's like, oh my God, that's a major impact that I'm having on somebody. Wow, and I know it sounds bullshit to say it, but it's kind of, that's what makes me tick. It's for them to say, I've learned something and I can now take my business to, it's going to 10x their business. And that's just like great. And give them their freedom back as well. Because they're always saying to me, it's a couple of ladies, they've joined business, a bit like you, and they want their freedom back desperately. And this will be one of the ways of doing it. So I just love it when that happens. When what you teach, that's why learning is one thing, but knowing is one thing, doing is another thing. So if you can teach them, just giving someone knowledge doesn't impact performance. Practice does, and they've got to put that into action. And when they did that, these two guys, I was so proud of them. I was in tears. It was like, oh my God, they've done it. So they learn it and they put it into practice. Magic happens. Only like we're learning here with our stuff. So
I asked this. This is a big question, and I ask this of everyone at the conclusion of our conversations with TNC, and that is, where do you see yourself and or your business in 5 years' time?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. That's a fantastic question. Wow, it'll be, it's going to be the go-to place. It'll be the go-to place for learning how to lead better, to learning how to get my freedom as an individual. I'm waffling now, but regain my freedom through leading people in a more effective way. And that's what happens when people start to lead properly. And that's what my business will be, the go-to place. That's what I'd love it to be, to say, oh, you need to go and speak to these guys because they've got this online portal that you need to go to. They'll teach you some stuff. They've got a coach there called Mike. He'll probably help you out a bit and move you. So, and that's just off the top of my head, okay? But that's from here, so.
That's incredible, Mike. That's incredible.
That would make my life awesome.
Yes, that's incredible.
That's brilliant.
And
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sharing your time and sharing all of your incredible insights. You are incredible. You make an impact on our lives. You have done ever since we met you in Phoenix. We were very excited to be interviewing you. Are sort of right there on the top of that list to get this conversation happening. I'm excited too, especially because we do have a little parallel sort of universe going on, you and I, with the whole consulting business that we have, the trainings, process, leadership training, team training that we've been doing, corporate leadership, and then obviously the online digital world as well. So there's a lot of parallels going on happening there as well. So it's all very interesting. I just want to say thank you, on behalf of both of us, for taking that time out and spending time with us today. It's been brilliant, and you've provided some incredible insights and very, very fascinating and interesting. You always are. And we said that from the day we met you, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, and to you two as well. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk to you. And you've seen the real me now, I suppose. Thank you for this. I've really enjoyed it.
That's
awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
See you next week.
Yes, we'll see you next week. That's really incredible. Actually, this time next week we'll be in London, so very exciting. Excellent. Thanks, Mike. Thanks very
Mike.
much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Thanks.